Hey everybody, it's Bruce here with Traveling with Bruce. Welcome to my channel today. I got a video here to talk to you about a survey that has been taken by a bunch of cruisers, mainly in the United Kingdom. They ranked best to worst cruise lines across the board over, 11 different categories. And the results are quite interesting. Today's video, I'm going to talk to you about the winner and the loser, and compare the two, and let's see what's going on. By the way, thank you for subscribing to Traveling with Bruce. Thanks those of you out there who are giving my videos thumbs ups. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you for giving me comments on my videos. I love to hear what your thoughts are. Share your comments below. All right, let's talk about this survey. It was conducted by an organization called Which, with a question mark at the end, kind of like a consumers report survey sort of thing. They listed the most popular cruise lines out there, and they narrowed it down to a group of 20 cruise lines, and they came out with the best and the worst, and everywhere in between. I found, as usual, no surprise to me, the number one cruise line, according to travelers from the UK, by far, Viking Ocean Cruises. I tell you, Viking wins survey after survey, award after award. They've only been offering ocean cruises for 5 or 6 years. They've basically won the award as best cruise line every year, and there's a whole bunch of reasons for it I'll get into in a minute. The loser, number 20, and I'm telling you, there was a difference between 20 and 19, quite a gap. The last place cruise line, MSC. They've just got all kinds of issues that customers are not happy about. I'll get into them as well, and we'll compare the two. Why is one so loved and the other one not so much? Quick recap here about Viking. Their ships are all identical. Viking has cruise liners in the ocean that basically handle 930 passengers. They have 465 crew, so they have a 2-to-1 crew ratio. So two passengers for every crew member, basically. That is very high. They have a 93% customer score for approval, which is incredibly high. MSC, the last place finisher, had a 57% rating. They have almost 4 passengers to every crew member. So it's a 3.8 number to 1. And so there's a big difference right there. You want to be pampered and looked after, and you want the waiter to remember what your favorite drink is, or the salad dressing you prefer the most. When it's a 4-to-1 ratio, forget about it, unless you are lucky enough to have an exceptional crew member at the dining table, and that's assuming, of course, you're eating at the same restaurant every night with the same wait staff. That doesn't necessarily happen on big cruise ships. Speaking of big cruise ships, MSC they have a ton of ships, over 20 ships now. They generally now they're getting larger. They used to be in this 2,000 to 3,000 range. Now the passenger counts on MSC is anywhere from 3,000 average to 5,500, and they're announcing larger ships than that. They're going into the 6,000+ passenger area for their biggest and newest cruise ships. I don't see this crew to passenger rating getting any better. There's just no way they're going to have 2,500 crew on a cruise ship with 6,000 passengers to give you even then, that's a 4-to-1. I mean, you want to have 3,000 crew for 6,000 passengers? Not gonna happen. To quote Dana Carvey doing George Bush, not gonna do it. No, not gonna do it. MSC is cheap. There's no doubt about that. You can get on an MSC cruise ship for a good price. Balconies in Europe, $125 to $200 a night US. A suite, basic suite on MSC, $200 to $300 a night. Of course, you have to keep in mind that there are a lot of add-ons to that fare in both categories. There are all kinds of balcony categories, suite categories, and then everything is extra. Many things are extra. On Viking, you're looking at $250 to $500 a night on a typical European cruise. I'm giving you a wide range here because depending on the time of year, in the springtime, it's much cheaper to go on a Viking cruise. In the summer, at the height of the season, you'll pay top dollar. But in both cases, whether it's $250, $300 up to $500 a night on Viking, it's practically an all-inclusive cruise. And so you're not paying for Wi-Fi, you're not paying for the spa, you're not paying for specialty dining. Drinks are included for lunch and dinner. And for most people, that's what they want. They're quite happy to have maybe the odd cocktail that they'll pay for separately, but they don't want to worry about a drink package. They'd like a glass of wine at lunch and maybe a beer or a glass of wine or two at dinner. It's all included on Viking's cruise line. Let's get into what the customers are saying about these two cruise lines to give you kind of an idea. Now, in the UK, according to this survey that I'm going to talk to you about, the typical per night price being charged by the cruise line for Viking is quoted at 399 British pounds. That'll put us at about, if I got my numbers right, that's more like closer to 500 US a night. I'm adding about 20% here, maybe 480. For MSC, they're quoting 162 pounds. So at about $35, so let's call that $200 American dollars a night. So there's your difference. There's the first difference right there. You're going to pay much more for Viking, but as you're going to see here in this survey, you're going to get more. By the way, Viking does not allow anyone under 18 years of age on board their ships. This is a huge selling feature, especially among seniors. Seniors love their grandkids. Don't get me wrong. Seniors love grandkids. They love them in moderation. And if they can get away on a 7-day, 10-day, 2-week cruise, they'd prefer, in many cases, to be on a cruise without those grandkids, without those screaming little guys running all over the place. Now, on MSC, hey, this is a family cruise line. I'm not criticizing MSC. I'm just telling you the way it is. MSC, of course, allows cruisers of all ages. They welcome families with open arms, and it's a way to go. But if you are a husband and wife and you want to get away for a nice 1-week European cruise, you've got options, and one of them is a cruise line that allows children, and one is one that doesn't. All right, so let's go into the first category, customer service, and this is the one that really is a major dominating feature. When I talk about customer service, I am talking about the whole experience on board the ship. So that starts right when you get on the cruise ship to lunch and dinner, breakfast, your room steward, cabin attendant, the folks in the casino, the folks in, if they have a casino, the folks in the dining rooms, the people at the front desk. Customer service. Viking 5 stars, absolute 5-star across the board, as high as the rating could possibly be. There's just virtually no complaints about customer service on board a Viking ship. Remember, 2 passengers for every crew member, so you are going to be asked often, is there anything I can get you? Is everything all right? How's your coffee? Would you like some more tea? Anything you need to know. MSC, 2 stars. This is one of their big failings. This is not just, by the way, in Europe. I can attest to the number of comments I get from viewers talking about MSC ships right out of Florida, out of Miami. Customer service is a biggie. There are people who have written to me, and I have read stories where the passengers are trying desperately to lighten the day and try to improve the mood of the support staff on MSC because of how dour they are. It's really sad. There are folks at the help desk on MSC that you really would not want to hang out with. These folks are not in a happy mood. You can imagine all they're getting is complaints And after a while, it just isn't fun anymore. It's kind of too bad because MSC ships are beautiful vessels, really nice ships. But boy, the customer service, there's a huge difference. Passenger to space ratio. Now, this I find interesting because Viking, the ships only hold 935 passengers. They're 750 feet long, about 105 feet wide, I guess. MSC, the great big ships are bringing on now, they're almost 1,200 feet long. They're 150 plus feet wide. They got 20 decks. Much larger ships. I mean, massive. But here's the thing. Passenger to space ratio on Viking, it's a 5-star rating. Passengers on board Viking, they know they can go anywhere on the ship they want. They can go to the top level. They can go to the bottom level. They can walk from the front to the back. They're welcome all over the ship without any restrictions. When it comes to MSC, however, you've got classifications. If you're in the yacht club, for example, you're allowed into an exclusive area, certain decks, certain eateries, and certain bars, only for yacht club members, which means that for the vast majority of the cruisers on an MSC cruise, they're really only allowed on 3/4 to maybe 78% of the ship's surface. They're not allowed on maybe 20-25% of the ship. And that squeezes in, say, 5,000 out of 5,500 passengers into a smaller space. So you take the space ratio, all of a sudden the MSC ship feels more crowded. Same thing when it comes to excursions, shore excursions, going off the ship for the day to enjoy a day in St. Thomas or St. Kitts, or say in Europe, you're getting off the ship to go to a tour or what have you. Got to get in line. We're talking about 5,500 people that have to get off the ship. They can't get all get off at the same time, so you've got embarkation logistics and debarkation logistics. Pretty radical, and so people feel squeezed. They don't like the lineups at the buffets. They don't like the lineups to go to other events on board the ship. It's quite crowded, depending on the time of day and what is happening. So, 2 stars for MSC for passenger to space ratio, 5 stars for Viking Ocean Cruises. Quite interesting. On-board facilities. This one really surprised me because I keep mentioning to my viewers about what Viking doesn't have aboard their ship. They don't have rock climbing walls. They don't have water slides. Viking does not have a casino. Viking does not have a massive grand ballroom. Viking doesn't have Broadway plays. Viking does offer entertainment, but it's much more intimate, and it's varied and much more personal. But on MSC, you've got it all. You've got the pools, the jacuzzis, you've got the casino, the big entertainment venues, several entertainment venues, frankly. And yet, when it comes to onboard facilities, Viking gets a 5. MSC gets a 3. Let me correct that. Viking gets a 5. MSC gets a 2. A 2 for onboard facilities. Now, it could well be that we're talking about other amenities on board the ship that are just not available to passengers on MSC unless you're a part of the yacht club. That could well be part of it. The next category I'll get into here is cabin quality. By the way, where do you spend 8 to 12 hours of your day on a ship? It's your own cabin. Viking has a 5-star rating for cabin quality. If you're watching my videos, you'll note that inside these cabins, they're spacious. They have lots of closet space. They have that nice Norwegian look to them, a very clean look. Cabin quality on MSC is a 3-star. It really varies on which room you're in, and the UK traveler, they're just not as impressed with MSC with 3 stars. Not that 3 stars is a fail, but it's good. Where Viking, it's excellent. Quite interesting, the difference. Food and drink. This has got to be right up there with your cabin and service. Food and drink. Make and break your cruise. Viking Ocean Cruises gets a 5-star rating for food and drink, and it makes sense to me because You can go to any of the specialty restaurants, no extra charge. It's all included. It's all top notch. Includes wine and beer for lunch and dinner. You can get coffees, teas, all included. There's no extra charge for this sort of stuff. The food is of second to none. MSC, food and drink, 2 stars. That's a fail, folks. 2 stars. Now, again, I get comments from people who love MSC and people who hate MSC. Those who love MSC, they tell me how great the food is. Well, they're generally in the yacht club. They're on the upper end. They have their own private restaurant up there. And for whatever reason, the yacht club has good food. But the rest of the folks, 85% of the travelers on MSC who are stuck down below, they're talking about the buffet in not a very good way. They talk about the terrible service in the dining rooms. They talk about playing Russian roulette when they have dinner, because some nights they have a dinner in the main dining room and it's perfect. Everything about it is wonderful. The presentation, the wait staff, the quality of the food, the temperature of the food, great. Then the next day they go for dinner and it's the complete opposite. It's 1 hour between soup and salad, or salad and main course. Main course, ice cold. It's been sitting out too long. The wait staff are overworked. They have a I don't care attitude. It's absolutely hit and miss with MSC. And so 2-star rating for food and drink. I've heard nightmare stories about people ordering a beer or a cocktail, waiting 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get it. It's ridiculous. Again, Viking, they've got the advantage. 935 passengers, no children, 2-to-1 crew ratio. You're going to be serviced instantly, and you're just not going to run into these problems. Port excursions. This one is a bit subjective because, depending on where the ship goes, that can have a lot to do with the positive or negative feel for a port excursion. Viking Ocean Cruises includes port excursions as part of the fare. So every port you go to, there is a short excursion included in your fare. This makes it much more enjoyable. There are also guests on board. Sometimes they'll have like guest lecturers or historians on board to talk to you about tomorrow's port of call. So in the evening, instead of going to watch a show or a comedian, you're taking in a bit of a preview of tomorrow's port stop. And you're going to learn all about the excursion you're going on tomorrow. You might be going to an art gallery. You might be going to a historical site. And Viking makes it very interactive. On MSC, port excursions gets a 2. Another failing grade. Probably because, in my opinion, the lineups to get off the ship and, with 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000 people, MSC just hasn't got it figured out, and logistically, it's kind of tough to make it feel a lot more intimate. Entertainment. This one here again is another one of those subjective things. On Viking, it's a 5-star rating. 5-star rating for entertainment. The entertainment that you get on a Viking ship is much more intimate. They do have an onboard cast to look after entertainment. And it goes over well. On MSC, 3 out of 5. There are those who love it, and there are those who hate it, and there isn't much in between. It's a passing grade, but just barely. Description matching reality. I love this one. You get the brochures, you see the commercials on TV, or you'll watch a video on the internet sponsored by the line, and Viking, 5 out of 5. 5 stars, description matching reality. The customer experiences what they think they're going to experience. MSC, a deuce. 2 stars out of 5. They are disappointed. They are not getting what they thought they were getting. They are not getting what they're being sold and what they're being told, and it's a fail. A social atmosphere. This one I find interesting. You know how when you walk into a first-class hotel, you kind of feel that ambiance, The same thing with cruise ships. Social atmosphere, 5 stars for Viking. 5 every single time. MSC, 2. Just a 2. As beautiful as MSC ships are, they just don't have that vibe to match the beauty of their ships from this survey in any event. Itineraries, 5 stars for Viking, 3 stars for MSC. Again, that can be adjusted. Sometimes large ships can only go to large ports. Smaller ships, like Viking ships, can duck into medium-sized ports. Maybe that's the difference. But here's one that I find interesting. Value for the money. I mean, come on. We know right now, I've been telling you, to get on a Viking ship is much more expensive than to get on an MSC. But of course, one is an all-inclusive, one isn't. Value for the money for Viking, 5 stars. 5 stars because the customer is getting the social atmosphere, description matching reality. The food and drink is top-notch. They love their cabin. They love the onboard facilities. It's passenger-to-space ratio. Customer service, 5 out of 5 for value for the money. MSC, a 3. It's a passing grade, but barely. And, well, if you can get on a $1 billion cruise ship for $125 a night and you can tolerate so-so customer service, so-so space to ratio, onboard facilities, so-so, food and drinks, so-so, port excursions, so-so, but the price was right, maybe value for the money, you'll give it a passing grade. But in this case, it's only 3 out of 5 stars. And there you are. There's your overall survey between number 1, Viking, number 20, MSC. Again, Viking, 93% satisfaction score, a customer score, 57% for MSC Cruises. And doesn't that say it all? Of course, if you're traveling with children and you're on a budget, MSC might be the way to go because you're going to have to give up certain amenities anyway. As a parent with kids, you're going to have to make the trip much more child-friendly. You have to spend a lot more of your attention on your children, which is nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's all right. But if you're looking to get away as a couple, you might want to defer from MSC and move over to a cruise line like Viking or another 6-star cruise line. You love the attention detail. You love to be pampered. You remember what your mom and dad used to talk about, how wonderful their cruises used to be, or grandma and grandpa's transatlantic crossings on the Queen Mary or the Queen Elizabeth back in the 50s and 60s, and all the service they had at that time. You want that kind of experience? You're going to have to go to a 6-star cruise line. You cannot do it on a 4.5, 5-star line. It's just impossible. But hey, you get what you pay for in the end, don't you? And in this case, Viking delivers the goods. Folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I wasn't too long here today. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate those of you who are subscribing to my channel, Traveling with Bruce, giving my videos thumbs ups. Leave comments down below what your thoughts are, memories that you've had cruising over the years. I'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate that. In the meantime, stay warm, stay safe, and stay healthy. This is Bruce with Traveling with Bruce saying, we'll see you next time, everybody. Bye for now.